the top pelvic floor exercises for prolapse. I just want to start out first by explaining a little bit of anatomy to you. If you think about it, this is my pelvic girdle here. My pelvic floor muscles, so I have a superficial layer here, and then I have a deep layer of the muscles in here. The deep layer actually controls and supports all of your organs. And remember, in a pelvic organ prolapse, we're getting descent of these organs. Some organ is descending too much and it's not able to have the stability it needs from the musculoskeletal system, whether it's fascial tissue, whether it's muscle tissue or bony structures, etc., not stabilizing as well as they should. So that can affect the descent of these organs. So we have to understand that these deep bull muscles are very significant for us. And the deep bull muscles are attached then to my deep abdominal muscles. So my internal oblique, my transverse abdominis with their fascial line, they go in and they help assist the lift of the uterus, the bladder, and the deep floor muscles that sit here. So it's important just anatomical to understand where they lie. About 50% of all women have a pelvic organ prolapse. And if you think about that, especially women who have had babies and also women who are going through menopause, it's very common as we decrease in our estrogen levels for there to be descent of these organs. So understanding where these organs lie, what muscles are directly affecting those organs is really important. I want to show you just really quickly, because if you hear about descent of these organs, I just want to share what does that actually mean. It can mean that you have bowel here, here's vaginal vault, and here's bladder here. You can have descent of not only the rectal pouch, which would fall off the posterior wall, so that's the rear wall, right? And they call that a rectocele. You can also have descent of the bladder. They call that a cystocele. Just means that bladder is going to fall into the vaginal vault. And it's just not positioned well, right? You can also have a uterine descent where the uterus actually falls down into the vaginal vault as well. You can also get small intestines that will also fall into the floor, etc. Oftentimes, if people have had hysterectomies and they lose the cervix, so the cervix lies here in the uterus, especially if you have a full hysterectomy, you'll get some descent of that as well, because you take away that cartilaginous wheelhouse of the cervix. The cervix is sort of the stabilizer of all the endopelvic fascia and all the ligament structures. So it's not to say that you don't want to have a hysterectomy, but you just need to know that sometimes there's this likelihood of greater descent, because if you remove the cervix, that wheelhouse or that spoke in the wheelhouse is sort of taken away. So I want to share with you just in laying down position first. In the next set of videos, we'll show you some standing things you can do, because I know you live in the real world and we have to know both of them. But I just want to share this, is that, sometimes people will say to me, hey, I was working in my yard, for 4 hours, and man, everything feels like there's dropping or heaviness and pressure. And that's one of the biggest things that people always say with pelvic organ prolapse or any type of prolapse. Man, I feel like everything is heavy or hanging down. Those sensations definitely mean prolapse, and I just want you to know that's not your imagination. Sometimes people even feel like, their belly is bloated, their abdominopelvic region is bloated. So one of the great things to do is to actually have a propping system at home. Some of you like pillows, some of you don't, but you're going to lay on your back. You're going to put a little pillow under your bottom. Why is the pillow under your bottom? Because then what it does is it tilts the pelvis backwards to encourage all of the organs to do what? To get back into their regular position and their regular alignment. I love people to get in this position for about 20 or 30 minutes, especially after they've had a long day. Hey, you can read here, you can swipe on your phone, watch your reels, you know what I mean. But this position with pillow under the bottom and then pillow under the knees, what does it do? It helps the floor relax, so the pelvic floor muscles actually release, they relax, the gravitational pull helps them. And then all the organs can kind of relax and get back into great position. I love to do exercises, excuse me, in this position as well. Why we do this propping position for pelvic organ prolapses is to release the tension in the pelvic floor muscles. So you have these deep muscles and you also have the superficial muscles. And it just releases them. It lets everything relax. My legs are up. My pelvis is lifted up. It's tilted backwards a little bit. These organs then can also tilt backwards and they can kind of get in their better alignment. If there is some edema or some fluid that has collected in that lower abdomen, so sometimes when you feel bloated down there, especially after you've worked hard in your yard or throughout your daily life, this is a great way to relieve all of that bloating sensation as well as to prop up. It just assists it by having gravitational position. So I'm going to show you some exercises in this position. So I'm going to get into position, but just know that little bit of a rock back position is going to help you feel really great. A lot of people will do it on their couch. They'll just put their feet up on their couch and they'll put their booty up on a pillow. And that way they can still be with their family and they can hang out. Again, 20 to 30 minutes is a great position to do this in. I do a lot of deep breathing exercises in here, meditative breathing. If you're not familiar with that, you can check out some of our other videos about those things as well. So here we go. I'm going to get into position. And I'm just going to rock up, put my legs up on my little bolster here. My pillow's already here. I'm going to just get into nice alignment. Think of it in this position then, my floor is already a little more relaxed because my pelvis is tilted backwards. I can do my deep breathing here. I can put my hands on my ribs. I can inhale all the way. When I inhale all the way, of course, the floor then releases and relaxes. As I exhale, right, the floor rides up. And in this direction, what's it going to do? It's going to kind of help get all of those organs kind of back in better alignment. The first exercise I'm going to show you, you're going to put your hands on your low abdominal muscles. You know, it's kind of right inside these bony areas. It's like your hands in your pockets muscles. You're going to put your hands right in your pockets here, and you're going to gently pull those muscles in. Again, I'm not doing a full pelvic tilt posterior yet. I'm just kind of telling those muscles to wake up and kind of move. So I draw them in just so that I can feel them. And then I'm going to release and let go. I can take another nice deep breath here so that all the tissue in my body and my legs, and if you feel your legs are too tight, you know, kind of wiggle them back and forth. It helps release the tension, release any of the tissue binding. This rock and roll of your legs should be able to squiggle really easy here because you want everything relaxed before you start these exercises. So your first thing that you're going to do is you're going to do a nice posterior tilt. So your muscles here, draw them in, and then you're going to rock your pelvis backwards. This just encourages all the organs to get back in their position. It assists the pelvic floor into doing a contraction. As I rock posteriorly, I'm going to hold for a 5 count, and then I'm going to release. What you're trying to do is not use your butt to do all the motion, but actually use your deep abdominal muscles to actually rock and roll you back in position. If you feel your butt trying to do everything, try to relax your butt, squiggle again, and have these deep abdominal muscles pull lightly in, and then bring that pubic ridge like you're going to tuck it up towards your nose. That's called a posterior pelvic tilt. The floor is contracting as you go. If you're not sure if your floor is capable of contracting easily in this position, you could practice as you posterior tilt doing a stop the flow of urine or doing an anal sphincter contraction, and then you can release and let go. So great pelvic tilts with pelvic floor contractions. Your next exercise is going to be to pull the deep belly muscles in. So you rock them in lightly, and then you're going to do a little march, holding as you go and holding all the way back out. If as you do this, you feel any rock and roll with your pelvis, remember that's these deep muscles that aren't stabilizing you well. So you're going to want to tell your body, hey, keep the pelvis nice and level and still, just your legs are moving. So you're going to pull it in and you're going to alternate march, and you're going to hold this contraction here the whole time. Again, you're not over cinching it, but you're giving a light contraction as you move your leg. That's your marching position. Your next exercise, remember, because the pelvis is tilted backwards, it's going to help lift all these organs up. And that's the point of this, is that we want any of the organs off the posterior anterior wall that might be falling in to lift up. So your next one is you're going to pull deep belly muscles in. You're going to tap to your knee, and then you're going to tap to the out. You're going to tap to your knee. You're going to tap out. Why are you doing this? Because you want the other muscles of the floor, the obturator internus, when I externally rotate my hip, the obturator internus contracts, and as I tilt and tap out, is going to elongate more of the floor muscles. I'm still, throughout the contractions, keeping my deep abdominal muscles contracted. And if any of this is painful, you just don't go as far. So if you can't tap way out here, maybe you come to here and you only tap to this. So you're just slowly going to build control, not only in the deep core, because that's going to help lift all the organs up, but also in the hip, because this hip motion right here stabilizes the bladder in particular and the other organs in the floor and kind of lifts it up. So you want the power of this particular motion to happen super easy. Your next motion is going to be this. You're going to pull belly muscles in. You're going to slide both of your feet up. And in this position, you're holding this pelvis, steady, and no rock and roll of the pelvis. And you're going to tell both legs to go out. A nice little hold, 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 and then back and in. So these muscles aren't letting go through the contraction. They're actually stabilizing you here in your deep anterior belly. And you're going to go out. This is going to help you in the frontal plane of motion. That means the side-to-side motion. It'll give you more power. So that if you do, get out of your car or step funny and turn to twist, that these muscles actually have the power to do so. So your next motion here, and you can stay in this position, you're going to pull belly muscles in, and this is going to be your bridge. What you're going to do is you're going to squeeze your glutes together first. So glute squeeze first, and then you're going to tilt and lift, and nice little hold. You can always advance the exercises by putting your arms up, and then you can come back and down. Your arms up just makes the exercise a little bit harder, but arms up, and even if I go high here, arms in that position does what? It actually encourages the diaphragm to move up, which encourages the floor to move up, because remember, the diaphragm and the floor, so diaphragm here, floor here, they work together all day long. So in my arms overhead, I'm actually lifting my diaphragm up, which lifts my floor up. So I'm teaching the floor to actually have more power and more control if I can do some of these motions here. And then I can advance, I can do march here, I can do in and outs here as well. And I can actually help get the lift to the floor that I need to elevate all these organs who are trying to descend. So this is a great position, this prop up position. It's a starting position for pelvic floor prolapse, and it's a great way for you to be able to actually relax the floor, take tension off the floor, and release tissues, irritation in the floor, but also strength train the core and get that floor to have more stability so those organs are not dropping down. You can always use your breath pattern in this position as well, because that management of your air feels so good, and it relaxes the autonomic nervous system, helps us to drop down in parasympathetic rest and digest.